Death Star, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
All right, so we are marred with technical difficulties tonight, and just crossing our fingers we can make it through this. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing tonight?
Well, I felt better. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm doing okay. How you, Joe?
Oh, crossing my fingers, man.
Yes.
This has been hell night, like.
Right? Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't even, Doug's sick.
Yeah.
I got a computer down.
Yep.
So if I sound a little different tonight, I apologize. Hopefully it still sounds good. This is an emergency throw it together setup. So
as always, you sound fabulous, Joe. Just saying.
Well, I appreciate that. But just hoping the cobbled together stuff stays together.
Hold together, baby. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I got the Millennium Falcon of setups going over here, man. I mean, and if I had a Chewie over here in the studio with me, that's what it would have sounded like on Hoth.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Beautiful.
Why you got this apart? We're trying to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how it was going.
Exactly.
But we're here. We're running. Let's talk Star Wars.
I'm ready.
All right. So Rian Johnson's back in the news.
Yay.
I was waiting for that.
Uh-huh.
So, and he's hopeful to still make his Star Wars trilogy.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure he is, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
anyone would hate to see a trilogy disappear.
exactly.
You know, he says he'd be really disappointed if he didn't get to do it. Well, I mean, you did go do something else.
Yeah. A lot of something else is right. I mean,
So, obviously, he's away working on Knives Out. Yeah, good for him, right?
yeah, absolutely.
But he says he stayed close to Kathleen Kennedy, and we get together often and talk about it. It's just at this point a matter of schedule and when it can happen. It would break my heart if I were finished. If I couldn't get back to that sandbox at some point. So, I mean, sounds legit, right?
Right.
Sounds like he really wants to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? At this point, we've speculated, right?
Yeah.
We've kind of speculated that, yeah, we feel like it's kind of not going to happen.
Yes. I would say I don't think it's going to happen. For whatever reason, they keep dragging this one out, right? I mean, we've talked recently about all of the other, writers, directors that have been, brought on, kicked out, fired, whatever. For whatever reason, they're dragging this story along like it's all, and maybe it is. Maybe he's got story treatments or outlines that, he's running by Kathleen Kennedy that she's loving. Who knows? But, I would just think with all of the other stuff that's been going on, like where's Rogue Squadron? Where's, all that kind of stuff. Kathleen Kennedy might put a little pressure on him to all right, let's get this thing going. We need to get it in the pipeline if it's going to happen,
Right. And I mean, the Knives Out thing happened after there was already a delay.
Yes.
So I feel like they really want to do it. And that's why they're dragging this out. They really want to do it. But I think they're waiting to see how I don't want to use the word backlash, but the temperature.
Well,
I think they're waiting to see if the temperature around The Last Jedi, things like that, cools
down a little bit.
Yeah, if you see a little more widespread embracing of it, like critics loved it.
I feel
so
like
obviously as a film company, they're looking at the critic scores, going, look, we need to continue here,
right?
But at the same time, they're looking at the audience score, and they're kind of like, oh.
Well, one of those groups gets to watch movies for free. Another one pays for them. You know what I mean? It's like...
Right, but one of those groups, the one that watches them for free, tends to get people in the door.
That's true.
So even if people are lukewarm or... here's the other thing, right? It's Star Wars.
Yeah,
like,
I know. We'll go see it anyway.
Oh man, Rian Johnson's doing another one, and then we're all going to watch it. Like,
yeah, true.
So, we're suckers like that.
Here's my thing about the whole thing, as far as this trilogy goes. If he's going to do a storyline, start to finish, that's just his storyline, it's probably going to be great.
In all honesty, yeah. I mean,
the problem was inserting him in the middle of something someone else started.
Yeah, and it was totally different. It was like there were just a lot of things different about it.
Exactly.
And as a trilogy where it's bookended by someone else, it didn't fit so great.
Right.
So, yeah, you're right. I mean, a Rian Johnson trilogy might be fantastic.
Right.
Because as a film, like if it were a standalone film, it's a good film.
The thing is, it's set up like a standalone film.
It really is. It really is. And if you were able to take it like that, it's pretty good.
Right.
And I've tried putting myself in that mindset, like just enjoy this film for this film.
Right.
And it is more enjoyable if you can kind of close it off, but it's hard to do because the other ends. And
you also have to carry some of what is in that film into episode 9, a few things, right. So yeah, I don't know.
Because there are some really, really fantastic scenes in The Last Jedi.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, it's shot well. Like the guy knows how to stage a shot.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, from a filmmaking perspective, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's the cohesiveness of the story that we have an issue with.
Exactly.
And I will say this: I do give credit to Rian Johnson because he still very much loves The Last Jedi. Still very much proud of it.
That is a true statement. So he, I'm trying to find, okay. This is with Empire Magazine. So yes, he says, I'm even more proud of it 5 years on, talking about The Last Jedi, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says, the ultimate intent was not to strip away. The intent was to get to the basic fundamental power of myth. And ultimately, I hope the film is an affirmation of the power of the myth of Star Wars in our lives. Okay, that whole power of myth thing, that has been like part of Star Wars since day one. Just
right.
Throwing that out there.
Which I think that's just what he's affirming. Like that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to capture that tone of Star Wars.
And,
right?
and I think this goes right along with what we were just saying about the prior story here with him, is there's an arc to this power of myth, right? I think he tried to incorporate that whole arc into his one movie, whereas it needed to just be
the middle portion,
of that arc. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. He tried to cram Rey's whole hero's journey into that.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, Yeah. It's funny. I don't know. It's weird the way that seems to have played out and how it's looked at now. Here's the one thing that gets me a little bit, though. The final images of the movie, to me, are not deconstructing the myth of Luke Skywalker. They're building it. And they are him embracing it. They are him absolutely defying the notion of throw away the past and embracing what actually matters about his myth and what's going to inspire the next generation. So for me, the process of stripping away is always in the interest of getting to something essential that really matters. So I have to say, when he says the final images, he's talking about that little postscript with the kids acting out the Battle of Crate and all that, and then Broom Boy. Yeah. Now, it sounds to me like he's very proud of these final images of the movie and everything, which those alone were a departure from anything we had seen in Star Wars prior, and kind of out of place, in the trilogy as a whole.
Right. I'll say this. I don't hate Broom Boy. Like,
I'm sure he's a fine young man.
Well, I don't hate that he did that.
Right.
Like a lot of people do. It didn't really bother me. But I feel like he was trying to capture an Empire Strikes Back moment. Right? Where like things are down, but there's hope.
Okay.
And it was trying to capture that Luke and Leia, looking out the viewport there at the fleet assembling.
Right. Which there's been a lot of hay made about that scene in particular lately too. I don't know if you've seen that, but
no,
how that scene in particular, they went back and shot like 4 months after primary shooting was done, because the movie was just ending on such a downer, and you didn't realize, where everyone was going and who was doing what, as far as like taking off to go hunt for Han and all that. But yeah, that was shot months after a primary shooting in Empire. So I mean, there, as far as that goes, if you're going to liken those two scenes to each other, yes, I guess there is that precedent set. Okay.
And I think that's what he was going for, but it had this one problem, right? Rey was establishing the hope.
Right.
In that particular instance. So you like doubled down. You doubled down. Because you had the Battle of Crate. It went poorly. Luke sacrificed himself to get you out. So that's still a downer, right?
Yep.
But you got Rey, she's levitating all them rocks. She's saving the day. They're getting out of there. This is your hope moment.
Yeah.
You have a Jedi back in the fold, right?
Exactly.
So that's your hope. And then you double down with, oh, look, it's elsewhere too.
So, you know what? You know what would have been great for me, to be honest about it? If to really make that scene make sense would be, because we saw him grab the broom, right? And it like lunges off the wall towards his hand, right? And if in the very beginning of The Rise of Skywalker, maybe Broom Boy is like, oh, help me.
Broom Boy's what? I don't know where you're going with this. I can't help you.
No. I'm forgetting her name. Kelly Marie Tran's character.
Rose?
Rose. There we go. If he's like Rose's assistant helping her out or something, right? And then we see Broom Boy and Rey sitting there, lotus position, listening to Leia, teach something. Just for a minute, you know what I'm saying?
All right.
And then, but
I want to expand on that. Like, not really expand on that, but I want to offer a different thought on that. You know where Broom Boy and that scene would have been better served?
Where?
At the end of the saga.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay.
The saga's over. The Skywalker saga is done. Bam.
Yes.
The Force is still alive in the galaxy. You know, there's a future. You know, we're ending a saga, but Star Wars is just beginning.
So I got it. This is perfect. So Rey and Broom Boy land on Tatooine, right? They walk down into Lars' homestead. He force pulls a broom off the wall again and starts sweeping out all the sand.
Because he hates it.
He hates sand, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just making light of what you're getting at, but no, I totally agree with what you're saying.
In all honesty, like, I feel like that scene, and I think the reason it gets its flack is because of its placement. Its impact on the next film. There's none.
Right.
None.
Exactly.
If that's the end of the saga, you don't necessarily have to tell a Broom Boy story, but you can tell another story.
Exactly.
Because Broom Boy sets up the fact that it's still out there. You know, it's not like the Force is, you know, dying with this group.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's a scene that would usher in a new era. Right?
Yes.
The problem is its placement. And I think that's what it goes right back to what we were talking about before. Like Rian Johnson tried to get the whole arc in there.
Yes.
Like he literally tried to end the saga right there too.
Exactly.
Like that's the way it feels. And while I do respect the idea.
Right.
Like if that's the end of the Rise of Skywalker, I think that's fabulous.
Right.
But the end of the middle film and it means nothing later, it's weird.
Agreed. So all I have to say is Rian Johnson's trilogy better be about Broom Boy. Because then it might make sense.
Yeah, sounds legit.
You know? I mean,
yep, definitely sounds legit. If it's about Broom Boy, it's all saved.
Exactly.
But I think what we did come down to here is, you know, Rian Johnson coming back to Star Wars is not going to be a bad thing. I think we feel like it's not going to be a bad thing.
It has the potential to not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right? I think there's going to be a lot of smack talk going into it if it happens and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, without doubt.
That just comes with the territory, you know?
A lot of smack talk about shit people are excited for.
Exactly.
Star Wars.
Yes. So.
It's franchise films.
Yeah, totally.
That's what we need to start saying. We don't need to keep saying it's Star Wars. Because
Star Wars gets a bad rap.
There has been it's been this bad rap for Star Wars lately that is just pissing me off because it's acting like franchise films everywhere aren't getting this kind of stuff. And
right.
It's just not true. It's just not true.
Exactly.
So it's just how franchises go, right? Look at what happens in DC. I mean, I guess we can't really use Marvel because Marvel fans just love everything.
Yeah, but you don't, Joe.
Marvel?
Right.
No, I don't. It's all right.
It is okay.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
Won't go back. I have not to beat on this again. But I mean, I'll say it, I have not seen a Marvel film yet that I'm like, wow, I got to watch that again.
Right.
I watched it. I enjoyed it. I'm done.
Right.
I don't need to go back.
Yeah. That's the one thing about Star Wars that it's always had is the rewatchability.
Right.
You know,
hell, it was just last weekend, I think, or 2 weekends ago. Star Wars was on TV.
Right.
I was watching Star Wars on TV. I'm like, what am I doing? I got the
I know.
He's right there. I got Disney Plus, and I'm watching it on freaking TV.
With commercials.
Yeah.
Dummy.
Like an idiot.
Yep.
Like an absolute idiot.
Exactly.
Open up the guide, and it's like A New Hope. I'm like, nah, all right.
Yep. Gonna be here a while.
Yep. I'm not doing nothing for the next 5.5 hours.
Yep.
Watch it. All right. So, there's another revisit here. Han Solo's Blast Tech DL-44.
Yeah. Yeah, we
talked about
this.
the original one going up for sale.
Well,
one of the original one. One of the original 3.
This is what they call it? The one of the original 3, but it's like the last one of the original 3 until we find more. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, this is the one. It's like the only existing of the original 3. It's like you didn't know this one was there.
Exactly.
Like, how can you even say that? So,
Well, I think it's a good way of marketing for sure because of what this article says.
well, it sold.
Yeah.
What was the first one? 500,000?
It was something like that. 550, I think, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a Return of the Jedi model. Yeah.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi. So, the last one of the original 3, wink, wink, sold at auction. So for $1,057,500.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
People have too much goddamn money.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I gotta say, I was a little surprised by this. I don't know. This is seems a little excessive to me, even. I'm like, wow.
but I mean, it's funny because growing up, right? I'm sure you went through this. You collected baseball cards or something like that.
Sure.
At some point growing up, it just happened.
Right.
And you always got that. Oh, you better hold on to that.
Right. Yes.
You might have the next Mickey Mantle or the next Babe Ruth, right? And you're looking at those cards that like, yeah, that card was worth like $100.
Exactly.
Like collecting has gone to another level when it comes to sports, film. Like, cause what was it? Was it Tom Brady's last touchdown football, right? This fiasco that just happened last year, right?
Uh-huh.
Like he announced his retirement, and that last football sold for like $500,000.
That's right. Wait, coming back.
And then like 2 days after this guy bought this football, Tom Brady said, "I'm not retiring." And the price of that football drops to like $14,000.
Yes. So what you're saying is this is not a strategy to get rich. This is
It's totally
it's a rich man's kind of
scam.
Vegas.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not going to have that kind of issue with this.
Right.
Right. This is a collectible that this person's buying right now. This is going to be worth more money.
Yes.
In another 40 years.
Yes.
So yeah. This is going to be a museum piece somewhere in, another 60 years.
Yeah, it better be.
So, but I'm just saying that's where collecting is now, right? Like everything like, it's the last football from a touchdown, or it's this prop from this film, this prop that they put together for, a few bucks.
Exactly. I'm going to take an old World War II or pre-pistol and tack on some stuff from other guns that don't really fit, and here you go, laser.
Right. And at that time, like this, so like you look at it right now, I mean, this pistol has value.
Yes.
At that time, you're still dealing with there's, surplus type stuff out there.
They were using them because they were cheap. Yeah.
Right.
And, it was a German pistol, so it looked kind of foreign to like an American audience. It's
Right. Because, I mean, think about it. I mean, up until like the last 10 years, M1 Garands, World War II surplus, M1 Garands were like $100.
Well, I think it was a little longer than 10 years ago, but yes.
Not much longer.
Yeah.
Like, but you had to do like some course or something, and it was like $100.
Oh, yeah.
So it was something like that. But they still had those things.
Yeah.
So back in 1977, a pistol made for a world war in the 40s.
Right.
Yeah, there were still a lot of them in circulation, so it was cheap. Now that thing has value.
Exactly.
So this is kind of getting like doubled down on here. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah, totally.
Not only is it a World War II collectible, but it's a Star Wars collectible.
Right. So
normally when you modify an original firearm or something like that, it's like decreases the value.
Oh yeah.
This was like $1 million.
Not in this case. This is like, we're gonna ruin this thing and it's gonna be better. Yeah.
But yeah, so $1 million. It's about what we expected, I think.
Well, okay. I'm not so sure. I didn't realize it would go for $1 million.
No, I thought it would be. I would say I was guessing it was going to be north of $750,000. If the other one was 500,000,
right?
You figure half of that. So 1.5.
Right.
1.5 made sense. Not double.
Right. That's we had a we'll say a mutual friend tell us about this, Eric, if you recall.
Yep.
And we at that point we were thinking that he had an old story from that Return of the Jedi one, and we both knew at that time what that one went for. And yes, the 500 or 550 that it went for, I thought was outrageous. It's a Star Wars prop, and it's like one of the Star Wars props. But still, just seems, for me, just middle-class American guy here, it just seems incomprehensible to spend that kind of money on that, right?
Right.
I mean, you could pay for 2 of my houses with the old version. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean,
buy
let's
4 of my houses with what the last one went,
Let's put it in perspective a little bit. Like, I spend money on some ridiculous stuff. You tell me that all the time.
That's true. That is true.
And I'm like, oh, that's dumb.
Yes. Yeah. There's part of me that's not surprised, but there's part of me that's still shocked. It was over $1 million, but
right.
It's Star Wars, so it still makes me smile.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Got a quick hit one here. So John Williams. We recently talked about John Williams. He's doing his final score for Indiana Jones. Right?
Yep.
I was kind of under the impression that, John Williams is ready to retire from making film scores.
Right.
He just celebrated his 90th birthday.
Exactly.
Going out with Indiana Jones. But he's talking with, let's see, where's this? This is Classic FM. I think this is a UK station or something.
Maybe.
Trying to.
Or it could just be a classic music station anywhere.
Yeah, could be. So Classic FM, wherever they are. Ended up asking him if he would like to do a James Bond film. And he says, I'd love it.
Really?
Yeah. He'd love to do a James Bond film.
Wow.
And I immediately thought, like, I'm like, wow, okay, you just celebrated your 90th birthday.
Right.
They just finished a James Bond film. So you're looking at at least like 3 years or so before they even consider doing another one.
Yeah.
This guy has no quit in him.
Oh, that's for sure.
Now, as a James Bond fan, I'd be absolutely ecstatic about John Williams composing a James Bond score.
Oh, heck yeah.
Like, oh man, he just covered everything I love. Like,
exactly.
Like every franchise I love, John Williams has done music for.
That would be amazing. I gotta say.
Yeah, in all honesty, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't at this point.
Right? I get a little how should I put it? A little precious with the John Williams goes with Star Wars. John Williams goes with Raiders. That sort of thing. And it's almost, I'm going to say almost because it's not anymore, exclusively his to score. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the James Bond stuff, not the case. So, but John Williams also does a lot of one-off stuff, or whatever. I mean, and some of that stuff is fabulous. But I don't know. Sometimes I as a Star Wars fan, I guess it's totally unfair to be this way. I'm going to say that right out front, but
I was going all Gollum over here, like, my precious.
Exactly. You almost feel a little ownership of John Williams belongs to Star Wars. Stop it.
Yeah, to Star Wars. Superman. Jaws. Jurassic Park.
Right. E.T.
E.T.
It's and so I understand it's totally not right to feel that way, but the first thing I think of,
I mean, the guy scored a theme for the damn Olympics, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
but the first thing I think of when you hear the name John Williams, Star Wars. Second thing,
yeah, I mean,
Indiana Jones. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, it's just how it is for me, and it's got to do with I'm sure my age and what I was hearing of his, growing up. So I don't know.
Oh, I mean, I understand. I mean, at the point where I came in, though, John Williams has done everything.
True.
He's in everything. Like, and then, he ended up doing Harry Potter. If it's big, it had John Williams. So
right. Now, to be fair to you, my first exposure to James Bond was Roger Moore. So, I think that might have done it for me.
Yeah. I can see that. It's funny too, because like when I was a kid, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but I'll make it quick.
Okay.
When I was a kid, like my dad loves the James Bond film Live and Let Die.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a bias towards the music or what.
Good song.
Which is very possible.
Yeah.
But Live and Let Die is a film I have seen far too many times.
Okay.
And when I got as I got older and I started to get into James Bond, for myself, I knew Live and Let Die. I was like, I got to explore this franchise.
Yeah.
And I explored this franchise and I'm like, wow, I really do not like Roger Moore. And I think Live and Let Die is one of the worst films that they made. I mean, in all honesty, and like, I talked to my dad about that now, and he's like, "Oh, it's a great film." I was like, "It actually sucks."
Oh, that's funny.
Like, if we get into talking about James Bond and like another one, like my dad, really loved Goldeneye.
Uh-huh.
Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan is one of my least favorite James Bonds.
Gotcha.
But he'll tell me he can't stand Daniel Craig.
Really?
I love Daniel Craig as James Bond.
Wow.
So it's weird. It's weird how this all works out.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I grew up exposed to a certain style of James Bond film, and I ended up going a completely different route with what I enjoy as an adult.
Right.
Yeah, we got into talking about that, and we're ranking James Bonds and stuff, and he put Roger Moore right at the top. I'm like, yeah, he's not that good.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, over Sean Connery? That's really bold. But I mean, in all honesty, I mean, this will sound bold too, and this is not a James Bond podcast, but I mean, Daniel Craig is one of my favorite James Bonds. He's like way up there. I really like the way he portrays the character. You know, it just, yeah. Don't understand how I got here.
Hey, I think a lot of people feel the same way you do, though, from what I hear.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic, and you know, it's funny how those rankings work out based on, you know, your youth exposure and things like that, and how you come up in something. And you know, with Star Wars, it worked out. Like I still have very fond feelings for a sequel trilogy, but I mean, I grew up with the prequels, so I have a much higher appreciation for the prequels than probably a lot of people, you know, that grew up prior to that, you know, which makes sense. That's what we grew up with.
Yeah, totally.
But then somehow with James Bond, I ended up going a completely different path. It's so weird.
Totally weird.
But I guess growing up for me, James Bond would have been like, you know, Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, right?
Right.
Like Timothy Dalton. Can't really stand Pierce Brosnan. Probably more writing, though.
Gotta say, I wouldn't know. Haven't seen those.
Right. Yeah, like I said, tangent. I apologize.
Right.
But it was connected.
Yes, totally.
All right. John Boyega. Talked about him last week.
Right.
Back again.
Yeah, he was on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, and forgive me, I didn't have the time to go in and clip this, but they do have him quoted here where he was talking about a lot of things apparently, but Star Wars is always a hot topic for Star Wars alumni. Talking about Finn's arc across the 3 films, and I just thought it was interesting, because it seems like from the inside he's confirming kind of a lot of what we've talked about in the past. He says it was a discussion from 7 that was kind of brewing because you didn't know which way it was going to go, right? And then 8 went another direction. Huh, ding, ding. So I think with 8 going in another direction, when you're bringing someone to the 3rd, they have to kind of like appreciate what's happened in 8 and then still try and make a narrative of it. And JJ really wanted. Force Awakens is the movie that JJ directed. He was kind of pinpoint plotting a trajectory. But obviously with the different creative differences, well, that's in the middle and then getting to the 3rd, it's kind of like he still wanted to, just force it in there. Just squeeze it in there. And what he's talking about obviously is the potential force abilities of Finn, right? It's hinted at briefly in The Force Awakens. And things just went, they took a left turn at Albuquerque and they went to Canto Bight. It's you know what I'm saying? And then tried to correct the ship, basically heading towards Rise of Skywalker. Any thoughts?
I mean, yeah, it was definitely disjointed.
Right.
It's definitely disjointed. And like I said, he got to go through the same arc 3 times.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week. It's the same thing. And I think he's just confirming what we talked about last week, which was he probably is disappointed in how that went, because he got to be a coward, then brave, then
right.
a coward, then brave, then a coward, then brave.
Right.
He got to do the same thing 3 damn times. Didn't get to grow.
Exactly.
And I would feel a little turned off by that myself.
Yeah, totally. So, okay. I'm going to go on here. And forgive me, this is, I'm trying to read his quotes, and this is kind of like stream of consciousness off of his mind. So he says, so that's where you get the moment between Finn and Jannah. And Jannah asks him, how do you know? And he just says, it's a feeling. He just had to get something in there that told you why there was a stormtrooper who held his own long enough against a Sith, or Sith wannabe to a certain extent, Kylo. Yeah. It's funny.
Shots.
Yep. So it was interesting, that when those talks were coming in the first stage, and I thought, obviously, you get the lightsaber, you start swinging and defending, and I'm like, nah, yeah. Last time I checked, you can't even just swing that, a certain type of way. When Han was holding it briefly, what did he do? He held it to get the locks off or something. Okay. Yeah. Could open up a tauntaun maybe, right? It was like manual labor, but you're just using it to defend, and you defend your friend. You must have something in you, but who knows if maybe down the line they have a younger actor or whatever, and they try to expand on Finn. Who knows if we get that? We get to see what is it all what is it about this dude that made him so special? Okay, sorry. That was hard at the end.
Well,
like I said, that was stream of consciousness coming off of his brain, and I was trying to read the quote. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about John Boyega's energy too, right?
Yes.
And he's a very energetic guy. He's very, very enthused with his conversations and stuff like that when he's out and talking. So when it gets put into text,
yeah, I know
it doesn't flow. Because
right.
He's excited and he's flowing from one thought to the other, and it's crossing up and stuff because he's just, he talks very excited so.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand, Doug.
Well, I did want to get towards that end part because I got excited for a second when he's talking about and who knows, maybe down the line if they have a younger actor or whatever and they expand on Finn. I was like, ooh, does this mean he'd be open to doing something with Finn? But he's a younger actor. It's
yeah.
Oh. So I guess that means he's not necessarily up for it, but at least not right now, right?
Right.
So
that looks pretty definitive for ever.
Yeah.
Maybe down the line they can get a younger actor.
I know.
Not in a couple years maybe I'll do it.
Right.
Or down the line, maybe I can revisit it and we can kind of set the tone for a prequel.
Yeah. Or even
he's nah, they can get someone else later.
Yeah, exactly. That's Hey, who knows?
There's no who knows. That was a solid Star Wars.
Yeah, but
It's off.
I don't know. You always got to look back at Harrison Ford. You know.
Harrison Ford took a while to get there, though.
That's what I'm saying.
He took a while to get there, and John Boyega's just like, nah.
Well, Harrison Ford was pretty definitive after Jedi. He was like, no more. I've done that. Yeah. Well, like we said, you back up those dump trucks full of, wads of cash in the driveway and just unload them.
It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
Wouldn't hurt.
But I would say he kind of confirms from the inside that, yes, the middle portion of the sequel trilogy kind of took a left turn, and there was some effort to kind of like correct course going into Rise of Skywalker. And it's like, there's a part of me that feels for JJ. It's like you wanted to tell a certain story about certain characters and this and that, right? You wanted to get certain things out. And that was very difficult to do, clearly, from what we saw after The Last Jedi. There's also a part of me that says, you know what? Course was changed with The Last Jedi. Now you're on a new course. You need to carry that through, you know?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt he screwed up by trying to ramrod the stuff he wanted to do in there, knowing the course had changed.
Right.
Now, I mean, if you go way back, right? Way back, early days of the Wars and More there.
Right.
You'll find that we did discuss how kind of concerning it was that The Last Jedi was pretty much done before The Force Awakens came out. Like,
yes, that is true. We were like, how do you know what you're going to have a story about here when you don't even know what this movie's about? I mean, yes, I'm sure he had scripts, but dang.
Like, I'm pretty sure they filmed the first scene for The Last Jedi when they, filmed the last scene for The Force Awakens. Like, we're here.
I can't say that that's true. I don't.
No, it's not true.
Okay,
I'm
I
just
was gonna
being
say.
an ass.
Yeah, okay. Now it all makes sense. You're being an ass. Got it. No. Yeah. Because there were some differences, but
At least
yeah.
I can admit it, right?
Hey. It's all good. It's all in fun.
Exactly. But yeah. All right. So, John Boyega sounded like he's never coming back to Star Wars.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
Turns
out, Ewan McGregor almost never came to Star Wars.
Oh, my. How things could be different, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is funny. I saw this and I thought, oh my. I'm glad. I don't know what made him decide to actually do it, but boy, am I glad he did, because, look what we have.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is some of the stuff he's talking about is right from a time I was a young adult, seeing some of the stuff he was doing, and can totally understand where his head was at. So he says, in regards to actually playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, he says, I really had to think about it. It came right after that train spotting period, and by that time, I was so full of myself. So at that time, young actor, big on the scene, and in a certain genre, he goes on, I am Danny Boyle's actor. I am effing urban grunge. I am the oasis of the British movie industry. Number one, I think we have to understand that Oasis is huge over there.
I mean,
They were-
made me because I'm like, Oasis.
They were huge here, but not like huge over there. You know what I'm saying? But
And I think maybe that's what he's going with,
what do you mean?
because maybe he was huge over there.
Oh, he was. There's no doubt.
So, but he wasn't huge here. I mean, we saw that little like behind the scenes thing before where he's talking about he's going to America, right? Like he's
Yes. And that interview is taken right from this time that he's talking about. But he talks about I'm urban grunge. I mean, he's got done with a movie about heroin. You know, it's like, yeah, that's totally what you're talking about. So, which I had seen that movie, you know, at the time as a young adult, it was like, you know, right up my alley. And when I heard he was going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, I thought, yeah, awesome. Because I thought he did such a great job in that one. And it was perfect. You know, I can't imagine anyone else being Obi-Wan Kenobi at this point, you know.
well, I don't think anyone can.
We might have had to if he never took the role.
Oh, agreed. I mean, obviously.
But I mean, it's like, I mean, there's nobody else from the time period that I would look at and go, well, if Ewan couldn't have done it, this would got to fit right in, you know. Can't even imagine who that might have been.
Yeah, I find this interview to be so crazy too, because I just think about all the interviews and things we've seen over the years, and he talks about how he looked up to Alec Guinness and, you know, things like that. This is like jarring.
Yes, exactly. Jarring, but also understandable. You know, when you know, he had to have felt like he was on top of the world, right? He had that rock star, you know, actor attitude. You know, the one where, you know.
I mean, really, when you think about it, he had that attitude that's the downfall of a lot of could-be rock stars, right?
Exactly.
Like they start to get big in a region and they're just like, you know, I'm here.
Yep.
It's too early.
Right.
They didn't wait it out.
Exactly. And isn't it funny that he has to decide to take a role as a Jedi to actually kind of see some of that humility? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? It's hard to think of Ewan McGregor having this kind of attitude.
Right. But
because he's just always been like, even by the time we got to episode 3 and you see these like behind the scenes stuff, like holy crap, like he obviously grew up a lot by doing Star Wars.
Totally.
And playing that role. I mean, I guess that role, you live that for a few years, you're probably gonna grow up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You spend time telling some other kid on set that you need to get it together.
The thing is, you think about it like this: you thought you were on top of the world, then you did a Star Wars movie, and you were like, "Holy crap, this is the peak!" You know, this is the summit right here. I thought I was there. No. Now here I am.
But then he also went on to do something that not a lot of Star Wars actors do, which is to expand their career beyond that.
Absolutely.
So that's the other thing where you kind of think, oh, yeah, I could kind of see his attitude there. I don't want to go do this and then just be known for this.
Yeah.
Get trapped in like that was the franchise curse, right?
Absolutely.
I think, you know, the franchise curse thing is kind of gone. It's not a thing anymore.
To a degree. I mean, you know,
not to the extent it used to be.
Right. I would say you're correct in reference to like the sequels. Like everyone's gone on to do other cool stuff. Now, in the OT and the prequels, you know, you had kind of like your divided cast, right? Harrison Ford went on to do huge things. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, they were kind of like here in this spot. They kind of stayed there for most of their popularity, I guess, right? Whereas,
well, yeah, those two did Kevin Smith movies. Harrison Ford did not.
Exactly. You have Ewan McGregor, who's done all kinds of great stuff. Where Hayden Christensen, he's done some stuff, but nothing is notable, you know?
Right.
Star Wars was the pinnacle, for sure. So, I mean, you had that kind of division in the cast of both the OT and the PT, and now the sequels, it seems like everyone's kind of got an open door to go on and do other things.
Right.
But
That's definitely something interesting to look at.
Yeah. But to think that we might not have had Ewan as Obi-Wan, that's just crazy. It could be no other way as far as I can conceive of.
No, definitely not by this point, right? Now that he's come back and he's doing it again, and you see how close he is to where Alec Guinness was, and
yeah, exactly.
Just how seamless he's made that character. It's crazy.
Totally.
Well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media, at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore, at The Wars and More on Instagram. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.